Hello, how are you guys doing? Welcome back to Rule of 2 Review. Today, let's talk about this really weird story surrounding Retro Studios. Okay, so this truly is one of the weirder stories and pieces of news that I felt like I wanted to cover and discuss for you guys on a video. I can't quite tell how big of a conversation this really will be because this is just, I don't know, it's just really strange. And so let's just get into it so we understand why it's so strange. Like I said, we're talking about Retro Studios, which of course is one of my favorite all-time developers because, as many of you guys know, they have created the Metroid Prime trilogy as well as the two Donkey Kong Country Returns games. I have all of those games represented right here. And of course, Metroid Prime happens to be my all-time favorite game. Metroid is my favorite series. So I'm a big fan of Retro Studios and what they've been doing with Nintendo the past, I don't know, decade and a half or so since that first Metroid Prime game came out. Now, the reason we're talking about Retro, sadly, isn't good news. It's not news about their brand new game that we've all been waiting for what feels like a century to find out about. It doesn't have anything to do with Metroid as a series or Metroid Prime 4 the game, even though clearly that was already confirmed that they weren't working on that anyway. We're not talking about anything good. We're talking about this weird information where an employee, actually several ex-employees, have actually reviewed Retro Studios as an employer on a specific website and said some pretty negative things about working for the company. And one person, I mean recently, within weeks, recently even stated that there's a general feeling within Retro Studios that Nintendo might close them down any day. So yeah, clearly this is a really, really crazy story. We're basically talking about the workforce version of Yelp. They're just Yelp reviews at a website called Glassdoor. It's also an app, the Glassdoor app. And it's a place, apparently, that you can leave reviews for employers, like I already said. Now, this is such a crazy story. I don't really know where I want to go with this and what angle. There's so many different details and opinions that I have on this thing. I guess we'll take a look quickly at the post that this person made. You can see here kind of a picture taken from my phone of the app, and this is the actual post in question. And you can see, you know, there's a couple of bullet points like they don't recommend working there. There's a negative outlook on the company and something about, I don't know why the CEO is referenced there. They work there full time. There are pros and cons, advice this person would give to management because they no longer work for the company. And if we actually highlight the negative part where this person lists the con, they state half of the team is expecting Nintendo to shut it down, and the other half is hoping Nintendo sees the elephant in the room and changes the management. Essentially, of course, hinting at the fact that, well, apparently the management hasn't been doing a very good job taking care of the company, having the right kind of transparency to the public and to the workforce. And so if Nintendo were to realize, hey, there's a problem with our one studio Retro being mismanaged by the people in charge over there, we need to either fix that really soon, or maybe because we haven't seen the game that they've been working on or heard anything from Retro in a long time, Nintendo might realize this is just all falling apart. It's crumbling beneath our feet. We just need to shut this thing down. So, like I said, this is tricky for me because I don't really know how much stock I want to put into this. It's a weird story because, honestly, one of the biggest reasons it's a weird story is because I don't think many of us have ever heard of this Glassdoor website for reviewing employers. I've not heard of it, and I've been in the workforce for a very long time for a lot of different companies and had my resume out there like crazy. I've never heard of this Glassdoor app. I'm sure a lot of you guys haven't as well. That doesn't necessarily mean that what's being said on it also isn't true, though. So there's this weird, like, do we really trust or care about this weird app thing that no one's ever heard of? But at the same time, if the claims are true, then they sound really dire and really important and something we should maybe be worried about. Now, there's another element to this here, and I looked into this app and I found there are 5 existing reviews for Retro Studios on this app. Assuming that there's any sort of stock we should put into these reviews, there are 5 of them. And what's curious to me is of the 5, only 1 was positive, actually. The other 4 are really not too positive, and they all mention and reference pretty negative situations, and a lot of them do seem to have to do with the management. So there's some consistency there. Another huge piece to that, the 1 positive review is from 2013. That's before even Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze came out. That is 5 years ago. It's 2018, you guys. 5 years ago was the positive review. The more recent reviews, I believe 2 or 3 of them were from 2018. This year, recently. So, when you look at all the different kind of pieces of information there, it's like, wow, it's kind of painting this picture that maybe there really is something not that great going on with Retro Studios. And again, if you factor in the fact that we have consistently, year after year, E3 after E3, interview after interview, Nintendo Direct after Nintendo Direct, we've been waiting to know what has Retro been working on since making Tropical Freeze. Reggie, one time in an interview, very vaguely years ago, referenced, oh, Retro's game, oh yeah, they're making their game and we can't wait to talk about it when it's ready to be talked about. That was several years ago, so we know they were doing something. They weren't just sitting on their butts all day, like they were doing something. They're making a game. There were even rumors recently about the Star Fox game, and I'll get into that in a minute. But we've all been waiting to hear from them, and every year comes and goes, and we don't hear from them. We don't know what they're working on. So you factor in all these negative reviews, you factor in the talks about management running it into the ground, and Nintendo's maybe just going to shut it down because they can't fix it. We go 6 years, 5-6 years without hearing from them. Well, 4 years since Tropical Freeze comes out at least. So several years since their last game, not a peep from the company. Does this mean that we have to worry that Retro Studios could be in jeopardy? I have to tell you, the Star Fox rumor that recently popped up kind of throws a weird kink in this because, of course, you know, first and foremost, let's remind you guys, it's a rumor. So for all we know, this never was real and we're never going to see it. But I think that a lot of it sounded pretty plausible, and I was tending to believe it, and I still want to believe the Star Fox rumor by Retro. And that would, you know, hopefully we would see it soon if that's actually the case. And if that's the case, that means, well, Retro is working on a game. That's a game that they're working on. And to be fair, even if it's not that, we know they're working on something. So whether it's Star Fox Racing or some other game, we know that they're supposed to be working on something. And to not have actually heard from it at E3 is kind of a shame. That definitely doesn't bode well for the situation when we're looking at this thing where it's like, oh, Nintendo wants to close down shop. There's going to be no more Retro. So that really doesn't give us a lot of hope either. And so at the end of the day, what does this all mean? How do I feel about this? And like, I don't really know, you know? I mean, I'd be curious to know if you guys even know how you feel. This is so weird. Like I said, one of the big X factors here is this Glassdoor page. I mean, I just wish that it was something a little bit more well-known and reputable as far as how employees and ex-employees of XYZ companies out there in the world are leaving reviews and telling true stories about what happened to them. Now, if it's real, if this is reputable enough of a website and an app, and if there are some truths to people who really didn't like working for Retro and believe that the company is going to get shut down and putting it on this website, there's an element of sometimes people just are disgruntled. Sometimes something didn't go well. Maybe this person who left this most recent one and talked about it getting shut down, maybe they just had a bad experience themselves. Maybe they made mistakes, or maybe just something didn't go well. And so they have kind of an axe to grind against Retro, and they wanted to put some negative news out there to kind of sort of sully the name of Retro or put them on blast, so to speak. And it could be something as far as it's true and they just wanted to expose this about Retro, that they're in danger of getting shut down, or it could be as extreme as it's not true and they just wanted to put the fear out into the world so that everyone has this sudden negative outlook on Retro and starts digging even deeper into what they're doing. I mean, those are real situations that happen. I don't know if that's the case. This could be made up. This could be totally real. It could be genuine. It could be embellished. It could be so many different things. And like I said, the fact that it's this dumb Glassdoor thing means I don't even know how much we should believe it. But I think we have to factor that in. Like, people are sometimes very fragile and emotional. And if this person and these other people who left negative reviews are ex-employees, usually if you're an ex-employee, a lot of times it's because you're not on good terms with that employer. And they're not on good terms with you, so you're not going to have that many positive things to say. And so maybe you just want to quickly run to XYZ person or ABC app or website and just leave a negative review. That's why Yelp exists. Yelp doesn't exist for people to talk about how much they love their experience at whatever place they go to. It's because if something goes horribly wrong and they're so angry and upset about it, they need a place to go vent. And it's a shame. I think that's why Yelp actually isn't an accurate indicator to the quality of service of a restaurant or a business or whatever, because really people don't go talk about these things when they have a good experience. They don't do that. They only want to talk about it when the experience is bad. And I feel like maybe this Glassdoor thing is just the similar thing, only for now Retro Studios in the video game industry. And it's all very, very, very strange. And as you can tell by my rambling about this, it's like I don't even know what side to come down on here. It's very, very tricky. You know, I think I'm gonna remain optimistic here, because I do think the Glassdoor element is weird. And there are weird things. Like I said, there's one positive review from 5 years ago and then 4 negative reviews very recently. That is strange, for sure, man. That is a weird thing. But overall, I'm going to remain optimistic. Nintendo is a smart company. I feel like if something was happening to put retro in jeopardy, somehow we would already know about it, or somehow Nintendo would already have whipped those guys into shape. And I feel like they're making a game still, and I feel like this game is inevitably going to show up. Nintendo knows fans are waiting to find out about this. They know we're invested. They should understand retro is a valuable asset, a valuable entity within Nintendo. Whatever they're going to make, people are going to be very, very focused on. They're going to have a lot of attention and press towards it. We know that they're talented developers, so it would be silly of Nintendo to just shut them down outright. If the situation is as bad as these posts are making us believe, I just want to feel like Nintendo is going to try to right the ship, not sink the ship and close it out and just abandon it for good. And so I think that's all I have to say about that for now, mostly because this is very vague and mysterious. And like I've said several times already, it could be very, very true, or it could be completely made up and just a weird lie thing. And I don't know, Glassdoor is what it is. It's very strange, and I hope it's not true. You know, I want to believe retro is doing a-okay. The game that they're making is just, you know, moving itself right along, and it's going to turn out great, and hopefully we'll hear about it soon. That's my dream and my hope, but you never know. So yeah, what do you guys think about this, man? This is a weird story and a weird piece of news, like I said. So I want to hear your opinion and your take on what's going on. Do you think that there's truth to this? Do you believe it? Do you not believe it? What do you think it means for retro? Are we in danger of losing retro studios forever? Is Nintendo just going to shut them down because they can't seem to sort their lives out over there? I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But now you know my take. I want to hear your take. All opinions are welcome as always here. And that is it for me today. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.